At this point, we've gotten everything that I wanted to start doing recs. We have some nice ranged gear with glaives, an anima core of Zamorak, tier 95 prayers, overloads, a war tortoise, and access to more friend challenge enhancers since unlocking Prip. So it was finally time to start bonking the spider. My first Rax kill ended up being a pretty slow kill, but it was still really exciting to be able to start this boss. After the first kill, we can now make the War's Retreat portal. And since I'm actually pretty far behind with these videos from where the account actually is currently, anyone who normally watches this stream will know I've never spoken truer words than here. One down, a bajillion to go. Yeah, let's look at the... Since I wasn't doing super well with Rax yet, we only ended up doing 2 kills on the first day. At the moment, my best helmet, gloves, and boots for ranged were just black dragon hide, which definitely isn't ideal. I decided to take some time to see if we could get some upgrades for those, starting with some Twin Furies. I didn't end up getting my next crest, but we did get a Blade of Avarice to add to our collection. Next we went and did a bit of Kriara, and we ended up getting an Armadyl helmet and then later on some Armadyl boots. These will be nice upgrades for our ranged gear. Later on, a friend of mine who liked doing solo rots invited me to come along for some loot. I was pretty hesitant about this at first, but soon learned that this is actually quite safe to do. We ended up doing 2 hours of rots, and through some insane luck, we got a Vengeful Shield, then a Merciless Shield, and then, of course, we got the Malevolent Shield as well, giving us the entire rots shield set and only 27 KC. I don't even really know what to say about that. Then, the next day, my luck took a turn for the worse and I woke up to this. That was the day the infamous login lockout happened, and I was sadly affected by it. I ended up getting locked out of the account for a bit over a month, and only got back into it during the 3rd or 4th wave of released accounts. While the account was locked out, I decided to play on an older hardcore I still had with 1 life left on it, and took the opportunity to learn to be better at the game. Previously, I'd never really looked into how to properly do damage rotations and wasn't aware of many core things to the combat in the game. I'd say now that's the main reason why those first Rax kills were like 9 minutes long. I've also made a video talking about some of these basics that I'll post on screen here. During my time playing on the other hardcore, it also met its demise to an unfortunate client bug. Why can't I tell you? What is happening? Dude, I can't click on anything. Everything's just left clicking! What is happening, dude? Or right clicking? Wow, I'm gonna die. What the man? Wow. Wow, dude. What the was that? When I'd finally gotten back into my account, I took an entire day to clean out the mess of a bank that I was given, but I also stumbled upon a few oddities that the account reconstruction left in. Somehow I had some noted items in my bank, and I also had the placeholder item from auto disassemblers as well. I've kept these around in my bank since they were pretty neat and unique. I was also missing a few things, most notably all of my player-owned farm animals, and most of my crew from ports. Some archlogs and stuff were a bit wonky, but everything else was mostly fine. With my newfound combat skills, my Rax plan had changed a bit at this point. Now, I wanted to take advantage of my lance and go for melee kills since I'd gotten much better at that. There were a few things I needed to work on before we hopped into any melee kills, starting with working towards my enhanced Excalibur. I needed to complete a couple quests to have the requirements for this, and first up was the Bar Crawl mini quest. This is a pretty simple one where you just have to go around to a bunch of different bars and drink some beers. Afterwards, I went and completed the Scorpion Catcher quest, followed by the first 2 Fairy Tale quests, giving me access to fairy rings. Now that I had the quest requirements for the Seer's Village tasks done, I went and started completing the achievements. I ended up needing to boost some levels to finish a few, but in the end I got myself my enhanced Excalibur. If you don't already know what this is, it's a weapon that you can bring in your inventory and has the ability to right-click on it to gain a healing effect every 5 minutes. It's super handy to have in any combat scenario. For my melee armor, I already had an Animacore of Zero's body and Bandos legs and boots. For my helmet and gloves, I decided to get my smithing level up to a level where I could boost to make some Elder Rune armor. This is a little tedious to do, but saved me a lot of time leveling. I also took the time to make some budget perks to put on my gear. With my new skill and gear, now the Rax grind could really begin. On my very first kills back at Rax, I was now getting roughly 5-minute kills already. A huge improvement from what it was previously. And after a bit of grinding, I ended up getting my first Rax drop of a middle leg piece. And then not too long after, I ended up getting a bottom leg piece and also a top leg piece, finishing off our first spider leg. Now we just needed a hilt to make our first weapon. Things didn't always go so smoothly during the Rax grind, and eventually I ended up having to use my first dart to get out of a sketchy kill where I signed. I ended up getting a second Malevolent shield when looting some more rots, which will be a nice backup in case we ever lose the other one. At this time, I wanted to get myself some better melee armor and was still pretty far from being able to make masterwork, so I decided to use some of the Malevolent energy I'd gotten from rots to make myself some Malevolent armor. This will give me some much stronger tier 90 power armor to wear at Rax and should help out with my kills a lot. Normally this energy would be saved for making trimmed masterwork, but I figured I'd be able to get some more before then. Then after some more Rax grinding, I ended up getting my first hilt, a web. I chose to hold off using the web for now, just in case I ended up getting a fang before I made another leg. Either way, it was still exciting to get a hilt. And then, not too much later, we ended up getting all the leg pieces needed for a second leg, followed by an eye on the same day. After getting these, I ended up changing my mind about holding off on making weapons and decided to make both my new staff and bow. And to test out the new bow, I went and did some Kriara and ended up getting a few drops while I was there. Then afterwards, to really test out the bow, I went and did my first Araxxor duos. Having these new tier 90 weapons should really start to open up lots of cool new PvM opportunities. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to let me know what you thought down in the comments below. I'd also love it for you to come and hang out with us on Twitch sometime under the same name as my YouTube channel, BreaCheese. A link to my stream and schedule will be down in the video description. Anyways, see you in the next one.